Was anybody able to figure out who was the person that saw the green truck?
That was me.
Oh, that was you, okay. So anyway, we described it, but sorry, so many conversations and us going to Utah yesterday is only the time.
So yeah, he was the last one to see her.
Imagine the shock of discovering that your daughter's best friend is her killer. For one mother, this unimaginable nightmare became her reality. In a chilling twist, she grapples with love, guilt, and the haunting question, how did her daughter's best friend become a monster? A story of heartbreak and unanswered questions unfolds. Gabriel Brittney, born on June 4, 2003 in Colorado, was a bright and compassionate 16-year-old who was close with her family, especially her younger brother James. The family moved to Elko County, Nevada in 2010 due to her father Jim's job as a gold miner. Brittney quickly adapted to the area, becoming involved with horses and ranch work at the 2U Ranch, where she helped with training, grooming, and cattle branding. Known for her kindness and empathy, she was well liked by those around her. Despite facing bullying at school, Brittney transitioned to homeschooling in 2020, which provided her with a sense of safety and support. She had a strong relationship with her parents, who co-parented successfully after their separation. Brittney was close to her father, often attending his band practices, and enjoyed spending time with him. She was also focused on her future, considering a career in the Navy as a nurse or psychologist.
Does she go here to Spring Creek High School?
She's actually doing homeschool.
Okay.
She's got a lot of enemies, and I'm scared.
She has a lot of enemies? Why would you say that?
She just does. That's why she's not in school. Everybody wants. The last time she went to a rodeo, she got jumped by 4 girls. And I just...
On March 8, 2020, Brittney went missing after spending time with her friend Bryce Dickey, who had known her for years. She had told her father that she would be home soon and was meeting Bryce. However, when Jim returned home that evening, Brittney was not there and her phone went straight to voicemail, which was unusual for her. Concerned, Jim contacted her mother, Alicia, who shared the same fear. Brittney's brother James also found it odd that he hadn't heard from her, so the family reached out to Bryce. Bryce claimed he had dropped her off at Spring Creek High School at 4:30 p.m. with a tall white man who had a cowboy look, driving a green Ford F-150. However, Bryce didn't provide many details about the man, which raised further concerns. The family reported Brittney missing on March 9, 2020, and law enforcement began investigating immediately. On the evening of March 8th, Brittney Lockey, a 16-year-old girl from Elko County, Nevada, went missing. Brittney's mother was filled with worry when her daughter went missing, prompting her to file a missing person report. She expressed deep concern, revealing that Brittney had many enemies, which heightened her fears for her safety. Although Brittney was homeschooled and not attend Spring Creek High School, her mother recalled past conflicts, including an incident where Brittney was attacked by a group of girls.
Had some issues with your daughter just in the recent past with her being 17 and stuff. Has she ever broke curfew before or never broke curfew?
Just mouthy, you know, like 17-year-old stuff that makes you want to just go, ugh.
Okay.
You know what I mean? But never
Stay out all night like this. Never.
No.
Not show up whenever you tell her to be home.
Yeah. Whenever she does, she ends up just texting my dad some excuse. Like whenever she does.
So yesterday when she left from town and said that she was going to be dad home, meaning she was going to come here, right? Do you have any idea why she would have, in the process of saying, well, I'll beat you home, and driving here, she decides to...
I don't know. I have no idea. I have no idea what she's doing, what she's thinking.
On March 8, 2020, she was last seen alive as she climbed into a green Ford F-150 truck outside Spring Creek High School. Her father had been the last to speak to her, and she told him she was getting a ride from her longtime friend, Bryce Dickey. The next few days were filled with confusion and heartbreak as Gabrielle went missing, with no one knowing that this would be the last time her bright spirit would be seen. 3 days later, her lifeless body was discovered, discarded in a desolate area called Burner Basin, roughly 15 miles outside of Elko. Gabrielle was beloved by many. Known for her love of rodeo and horses, she had a promising future ahead of her. Friends and family described her as full of life, a loving soul who could light up any room she entered. But on that fateful March day, someone she trusted, someone she had known for years, betrayed her in the most horrific way. Bryce Dickey, a longtime friend of Gabrielle's, also has described her as a sweet person.
She was always happy. She would get in a lot of actual fights, but then a month later she would be best friends with the person she got in a fight with. She knew almost everyone. It seemed like there wasn't somebody in this town she didn't know. But she was extremely sweet. Pretty much always had a smile on her face.
As investigators worked tirelessly to piece together the details of Gabrielle's last moments, a flood of tips poured in. The sheriff's office quickly launched a homicide investigation. It was clear that Gabrielle hadn't simply vanished, and the circumstances surrounding her disappearance and death raised more questions than answers. A key discovery at the crime scene was a used condom with both Gabrielle and Bryce's DNA on it, a chilling clue that would eventually link him to the murder. The narrative you're describing revolves around an interrogation involving a man, Dickey, who is being questioned in connection with the death of Brittney, a young woman he referred to as his little sis. The investigation has revealed critical DNA evidence linking him to the crime scene, including DNA on a condom, as well as under her fingernails and on her neck.
Items, or an item. Okay, do you have any idea what that item might be?
No.
Okay. What if I told you that it had both yours and Brittany's DNA on it?
What would that be?
Do you have any idea?
No.
Now's the time to be truthful.
I'm being 100% sir. I don't know what you're referring to.
Now, you told me before that you and Brittany had never been intimate in a sexual way.
No.
Okay, what if I said I had evidence that shows that that might not be accurate?
Dickey initially denies any intimate involvement with Brittany, insisting that they had a close but platonic relationship. However, the police discover that his DNA is found inside the condom, with Brittany's DNA on the outside, raising serious doubts about his innocence. When confronted with this evidence, Dickey continues to deny any sexual relationship, claiming he has always been truthful about their connection.
I'm not lying. I've never kissed. I've never had sex with Brittany. Besides hugging and I've never had sex or any intimate relationship with Brittany.
Okay. Have you ever watched TV and seen DNA comparisons?
No, not. I mean, I've watched crime shows, but I haven't really paid attention to it.
So, you gave a DNA sample, right?
Yes.
Okay. We found a condom. Alright, then we found Brittany. And we have Brittany's DNA, we have your DNA, and we have a condom.
That can't be.
It is.
Listen. I've never had sex with Brittany, I swear. I've never had sex with Brittany.
Okay. So then explain to me how...
I don't know. I'm freaking out right now because I've never had sex with Brittany.
Okay.
I've never had
explain
sex.
to me how a condom has your DNA on the inside and her DNA on the outside. Because that doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't make sense, and I don't...
And you can understand my concerns that, you know, I've been truthful with you, okay? And I know this is real.
Despite this, Dickey's behavior during the interrogation raises suspicions. He expresses regret about being the last person to see Brittney alive, but avoids directly claiming responsibility for her death. His statements about feeling guilty and wishing he could have done something differently suggest a level of emotional involvement that could indicate either true remorse or an attempt to deflect guilt. He further argues that he felt intimidated during his first interview and that his initial responses were influenced by pressure. Throughout the interrogation, Dickey remains adamant that he did not kill Brittney, but his insistence on being truthful, combined with the physical evidence linking him to the crime, places him as the primary suspect. The detectives keep pressing him, determined to uncover the truth, while Dickey maintains his narrative of regret without directly admitting any wrongdoing. In the wake of Gabrielle's death, many were shocked by Bryce's behavior. While the investigation unfolded, he posted on social media about the tragedy, expressing grief and sorrow for his sister, Gabrielle, who he claimed was taken too soon. He even offered his condolences, attended memorials, and spoke of his deep love for her. But this facade of grief would crumble under the weight of the evidence, revealing a far more sinister truth.
Well, tell me about Brittney. What's she like?
You're gonna have to ask a question because that's a lot. Brittney is not in like a bad way or anything, but I mean,
Right.
Well, what was Brittney to you? Did us?
honestly, Brittney was my little sis. Like, I've known her since 7th or 8th grade, one of the closest people to me. I was gonna say, I didn't even start calling her, called her little sis for about the last 2.5, 3 years, but she called me big brother since probably about like right after the first year that I met her, but one of the closest people to me. She was, a lot of people didn't like her for a lot of reasons, but she was very blunt and kept to who she was, even if a lot of people didn't like that.
Bryce repeatedly emphasized his disbelief over the idea that anyone could act out of anger toward Brittney. He began by stating, "Honestly, I don't see why anyone would have a reason to do this out of anger." According to him, Brittney was one of the most forgiving and kind people he had ever encountered. To stress her forgiving nature, he even remarked, "I mean, you could punch her in the back of the head and she'd still forgive you." Bryce appeared resolute in his view at first, stating with confidence, "I just can't see anyone doing this in an angry way." However, his statements shifted as he delved deeper into his thoughts. He mentioned that Brittney's personality was polarizing. While she had her share of admirers, a lot of people didn't like Brittney, and honestly, some people still don't. Bryce attributed this to her personality rather than her actions, suggesting that any negativity directed toward her stemmed from misunderstandings or differences in character. He also pointed out Brittney's unique ability to mend broken relationships, claiming, "I've never met someone who had a falling out with Brittney that wasn't eventually resolved." This sentiment further reinforced his belief that her nature left little room for lasting resentment. Yet, Bryce's tone occasionally wavered, especially when he acknowledged the existence of people who actively disliked her. His narrative seemed to shift between admiration for Brittney's forgiving qualities and a reluctant acceptance of the reality that not everyone appreciated her. In sum, Bryce's changing statements painted a complex picture. While he strongly defended Brittney's character, his repeated acknowledgement of her divisive personality hinted at the challenges she faced in maintaining universal goodwill.
Honestly, in reason, I don't see why anyone would have a reason to do this in an anger way. Because Brittney was probably the most forgiving person I've ever met. And one of the nicest, because, I mean, you could punch her in the back of the head and she would still forgive you.
You said, I can't see anybody like do this in an anger way.
I have yet to meet someone that's had a falling out with Brittney that hasn't been fixed. Is what I mean by that. Like, so, a lot of people had to like Brittney, and I mean, a lot of people still don't. That's just because of her personality. I haven't met anybody that's actually like had intentions to hurt Brittney.
Bryce's actions were soon scrutinized, and his statements to the police raised suspicions. His claims of dropping Gabrielle off at the high school and seeing her get into a green truck were quickly disproven, as investigators found his lies to be an attempt to mislead them. Initially, Dickey fabricated a story about a mysterious green pickup truck and a stranger, but as the investigation progressed, forensic evidence increasingly pointed to him. During the search of his home, blood-stained boots were found, leading to his arrest in March 2022. Despite his changing stories, the police gathered enough incriminating evidence, including DNA links and phone data, to charge him with first-degree murder, sexual assault, and the use of a deadly weapon. Brittney's mother, Alicia, was shocked by the revelation that Dickey, a trusted family friend, was responsible for her daughter's death. She had even consoled him in the days leading up to the arrest, unaware that he had murdered Brittney. The betrayal felt even more personal, as Alicia had comforted the man who had taken her daughter's life. Dickey's trial began in May 2022, where he pled not guilty, despite overwhelming evidence against him. The prosecution presented strong evidence, including surveillance footage, DNA found at the crime scene, and GPS data linking Dickey to the location of Brittney's body. Additionally, Dickey's ex-girlfriend testified, recounting instances of him choking her during sex, revealing a pattern of violent behavior that was relevant to his actions toward Brittney. The defense, led by Gary Woodbury, attempted to argue that the evidence was circumstantial and suggested that the choking was consensual, despite the clear connection to the murder. Woodbury's argument was widely criticized, and the case presented a chilling portrait of a violent predator. The trial revealed the depth of Dickey's depravity, as he had been living out violent fantasies that led to Brittney's death. The jury was shown a range of evidence, including phone records, DNA matches, and testimonies that tied Dickey to the crime in an irrefutable way. The defense's attempt to dismiss the evidence as circumstantial was met with skepticism, and many, including the prosecutor, viewed Dickey's behavior as that of a sadistic psychopath. When detectives broke the devastating news to Brittney's mother, she was overcome with grief and unable to contain her emotions.
1092, that's the body.
Yeah.
Let's get out.
Yep.
I can see enough right now. Looks like a girl's hand. Let's back out. Basically, she face down, pants down. She's got black heels on.
She let out a scream so heart-wrenching that even the detectives, who had witnessed countless tragedies, said they had never heard anything like it before. Her pain and anguish were palpable, echoing the unimaginable loss of her daughter. The rawness of her reaction reflected the deep bond she shared with Brittney and the unbearable reality of the situation.
Okay. And I just want to let you know that we have found the body.
I'm gonna pass out. Can you get me some help? Can you get me some help?
Yep,
Can you
there's
get
some
me
people.
The community, still reeling from the shocking loss, struggled to understand how someone like Bryce could commit such a heinous act. His friends, like Travis Johnson, who had known him since childhood, were left in disbelief. They couldn't reconcile the kind, easygoing friend they knew with the monster who had taken Gabriel's life. His betrayal cut deep, and the pain of those who loved Gabriel was compounded by the realization that someone they had trusted for years was capable of such evil. In court, Bryce's fate was sealed. He was convicted of first-degree murder and sexual assault with a deadly weapon. After deliberating for only 4 hours, the jury delivered a unanimous verdict, sealing the tragic end of Gabrielle's short life. She had been brutally taken from a world that loved her, and while justice had been served, the pain of her loss would be felt forever by all who knew her. Her memory, though, would never fade. She was a light in the lives of so many, and despite the evil that took her away, Gabrielle Ulaki would be remembered for the love and joy she brought to those around her. What are your thoughts on this shocking case? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more updates and true crime stories.